So we have been talking about the feud between the Young Turks and Jimmy Dore for a pretty long time on this channel. It feels like I've made 3, maybe even 4 videos on the topic, and I have to say I've been loving absolutely every second of it, and I know for a fact that you guys out there have been loving it because each video that I put out seems to do better than the previous video on the same topic. However, I've just been sitting back, watching, and waiting for what I knew was eventually coming, which was the Ana Kasparian hit piece on Jimmy Dore that doesn't really address the issues, but is only meant to smear her opponent. And I officially have to wait no longer, because Ana Kasparian has put out a hit piece on Jimmy Dore. It's really terrible, it's exactly what I expected, and we're going to go over it and make fun of Ana and make fun of this whole situation, because again, this is pure entertainment value, and I'm so happy about it. But first, I have some bad news. At the beginning of the last couple of videos on this channel, I've told you about my Discord moderator, DJ Batman, aka Nick, and his cat situation. His cat Gur had a tumor in its body. It needed to be removed. It was about $4,000, and he was raising the money on GoFundMe, and he asked me if I wouldn't mind shouting this out. However, unfortunately, despite the fact that you guys really did step it up, on videos that didn't even get a lot of views, you raised a huge portion of the money incredibly quickly over the course of a couple of days. Gur has passed away, and I really just don't know what to say other than thank you guys so much for donating, and I don't really know what the procedure is to do in this exact situation. The GoFundMe is still up. I believe that GoFundMe's terms of service allow you to kind of get a refund if you want a refund. However, I've recommended to DJ that rather than, just refunding everybody's money, he should use the money to close out the medical bills for the cat. But it's up to you because you guys donated. And since you stepped up, I'm telling you right now, this GoFundMe should be up for the next 30 days. And you should be able to do anything that you want with your money. I'm not 100% sure how it works. If you're having any problems whatsoever, let me know. And also, on top of that, DJ is a really good guy, and he wanted me to tell you guys that if you want to support him, but actually get something in exchange for your support, he does have a store that I will be linking in the description, along with the GoFundMe. Thank you guys so much. You guys are really kind in a pandemic. Unbelievable, and it kind of warms my heart if I wasn't a soulless, heartless monster. So, without further ado, we're going to get into the video, but once again, I appreciate it, and I know that DJ appreciates the kindness of strangers.
On the left, it's important to understand how critical it is to win. And in order to win, we need to clearly differentiate individuals that we can align ourselves with and work with strategically, and individuals who we absolutely cannot work with because they do not share a common goal.
So I'm not going to go into the overall history in the background for today's video. I'm just going to tell you that recently Jimmy Dore interviewed a member or so-called member of the Boogaloo Boys on his channel, and he was very impressed by this particular member. However, Jimmy Dore also said that while he's saying these positive things about this one person that he had on his air, he doesn't know whether or not this person is representative of the entire movement, and you should only take what he's saying about this person as what he's saying about this person that he talked to, and not the entire Boogaloo Boy movement. Now, this is really important because, of course, Ana Kasparian, the strawmanner that she is, decides to make her entire video about Jimmy Dore not praising this one guy that he interviewed that he was really impressed by, but in reality praising the entire Boogaloo movement, thus strawmanning Jimmy Dore exactly as he predicted his enemies on the left and on the right would do, although it's, of course, people on the left like Ana Kasparian doing so.
But we need to think about what individuals and various groups fundamentally represent, whether or not they have a material understanding of the problems that we're facing today, and whether or not they believe in a collectivist approach that is necessary to transform what we're going through in this country. Now, one group that I agree is definitely not worth working with is the Boogaloo Boys.
Now, I'm not usually one to tone police when people are arguing with each other on the internet. In fact, the more flaring up in your tone, the better, I always say, because that's entertainment value for me, and even if I don't conduct myself in that manner, that doesn't mean that I don't like to watch other people completely fall apart. But Ana Kasparian's tone is so nasty throughout the course of this video. She's like trying to big brother Jimmy Dore, like talk down to him and be really condescending. And it's 100% working. She's totally coming off as unbelievably condescending. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because Ana Kasparian, one of her big criticisms of Jimmy Dore with this whole Force the Vote campaign, was the tone that Jimmy Dore uses when he's pushing for these acts. So take note of the fact that Ana Kasparian is talking down on Jimmy Dore and trying to inflate herself up and make herself seem better than Jimmy Dore as she's delivering these totally not nasty criticisms of him.
With that said, it was curious when Jimmy Dore decided to bring up the Boogaloo Boys and put out some weird commentary that essentially rehabilitates their reputation. And he did so without any real research. In fact, the extent of his research was revealed live on air. And this is what that looked like.
Now I'm going to pause here because Ana Kasparian loves to toot her own horn. She loves to puff herself up. But I've seen this movie before with Dave Rubin, and let me tell you 100%, Ana Kasparian does not do her own research. In fact, what Ana Kasparian does a lot of the time when she's criticizing Dave Rubin is basically plagiarize what's going on at the Majority Report and present that information as her own. And if you were curious about whether or not the Majority Report did a segment specifically on Jimmy Dore interviewing this Boogaloo boy, they did. And Ana Kasparian, in her infinite research, because she does her research and she has the receipts, totally doesn't sound like a child using the terms receipts like this, is she did steal all this information from the Sam Seder video because Ana Kasparian, this is what she does.
These are individuals who want to do away with government by any means necessary, including exploiting racial tensions in this country to spark a race war, to spark their fantasy world of starting a civil war that would get people killed.
First of all, Anna, I believe the race war would be the civil war because it would be a war within the borders of this country. And obviously, maybe it's not obvious to Anna because she needed to say this separately, a civil war would get people killed. Thank you for adding that completely necessary attachment at the end of that sentence, Anna. It totally doesn't seem redundant at all when you're referencing a civil war. Trust me, Anna's the big smart one in this situation. She really wants you to know that. That's why she had to tell you, you who are totally not stupid, that a civil war would actually lead to people dying. People die in wars. I don't know if you know that. Maybe not in Captain America Civil War, but people do die in civil wars, and people die in those wars.
Far-right Boogaloo Boys linked to killing of California law officers and other violence. That is a headline from the Los Angeles Times in the summer of 2020. Now, you might have issues with police brutality and policing in general in this country, and I certainly do. However, I do not believe that any situation that involves murder makes sense. I do not agree with violence. I do not agree with killing anyone, including ambushing cops.
Now, Anna hilariously says that she's against murder. Bravo, you're a great person, Anna. But she also talks about how there's ambushes of cops attributed to the Boogaloo Boys, and she doesn't agree with that. She may not like policing, but she's totally against that and organizations that could cause that because that's Ana Kasparian. But here's the thing, all of the parties involved here have no room to talk and morally grandstand about the ambushing of police officers when the Young Turks and Jimmy Dore specifically, while he was working at the Young Turks, inspired the events of Baton Rouge, where a Young Turks fan went out of his way based on the content from the Young Turks, the lies spread by the Young Turks, to ambush multiple police officers, killing some and even wounding one in such a way that basically made the rest of his existence what is called a living death. One of the reasons why every single time I'm covering the feud between the Young Turks and Jimmy Dore, I remind you that I'm not a fan of either party, is because neither one of them have taken any kind of responsibility or even apologized for getting those stories wrong, or worst case scenario, lying about those stories, even though they directly inspired the events of Baton Rouge.
But it turns out that people lie, right? People lie all the time, including the Boogaloo Boys who, Oopsy Daisy, in their own Discord, made it abundantly clear that they intended on lying to the American people to rebrand themselves in order to exploit unrest in this country to spark their fantasy of a civil war. Let me provide the receipts, since I actually do my research.
By the way, not only did Ana Kasparian basically plagiarize this entire video's premise from Sam Seder's Majority Report, but the clips that she's using as her evidence are the clips used in the majority report, and her setups are almost identical to the setups in the majority report video.
Oopsy Daisy.
Yeah, Anna, you can't really flex on somebody for not doing their research or Googling stuff live on air when all you did was watch a YouTube video and basically take down some notes and almost verbatim regurgitate the same exact points. But also, you can really tell what Ana Kasparian values and the Young Turks value by where this segment actually went, because of course, it goes to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And one of the things you realize whenever AOC says some dumb thing or anything like that is the Young Turks will always have her back because they are in the tank for this person. They care more about Ocasio-Cortez, the congressperson, than the legislation that she can actually produce, and this is one of the big disputes that Jimmy Dore has with the Young Turks. He doesn't care so much about the personality.
But for a man who claims he wants Medicare for all, Jimmy Dore, who has gone to great lengths to demonize Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and other members of the squad, progressive lawmakers, women of color.
But here's where things get really nasty, because it's one thing for Ana Kasparian to basically copy-paste a hit piece from another channel in order to attack Jimmy Dore, who she doesn't like personally, but it's another thing to go that one step further and make this a race issue. You can condemn Jimmy Dore for not knowing who the Boogaloo Boys are while he's researching them. I get that they're kind of shrouded in mystery and they're like disconnected and it's not really easy to identify what a loose confederation of people actually believe as a core value, especially when they're memeing at you all the time. But you have to do that if you're going to interview one of their members. But for Anna to then make this about a race issue, that Jimmy Dore is a racist and that's why he doesn't like Ocasio-Cortez and the squad, and not about them not doing what he wanted them to do, which is a perfectly legitimate reason not to like a representative, is absolutely crazy. But that's exactly what Ana Kasparian is doing.
And other members of the squad, progressive lawmakers, women of color.
Now, I don't know how much self-awareness Ana Kasparian actually has, but you could even see it in her face after she says, progressive lawmakers, women of color. She kind of looks down and she kind of knows that she did something shady right there by throwing that out there. But if you thought that was just a one-off, a slip, something that happens when you're going live, just wait for this next guy to come in. I'm gonna save up that clip for a little bit later, but just keep in mind that they do double down on this.
These people would also, like to do away with everything our government represents, including our Constitution, which, by the way, offers protections for ordinary American workers.
First of all, Anna, there are no constitutional workers' rights. You just made that up. The Constitution is only 11 pages. If you want to fact check me on that, I guarantee you they're not in there. Anna just doesn't know anything because Anna doesn't do research, and I guess Sam Seder didn't go over it for her, so she couldn't really copy-paste that well. But on top of that, Jank Uger is a union buster. He did not want the Young Turks to be a unionized operation. In fact, the union had to form while he was running for Congress to essentially embarrass him into accepting the union. And he still tried to bust it. He still punitively fired people because that's who Jank Uger is. So if you say you can't work with somebody who's not on board with workers' rights and collective action and unions and all that nonsense, maybe you should quit your job, Anna, because Jank Uger is totally not on board with that.
And I do want to give you an example of how Jimmy Dore, spoke about Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez when she refused to utilize his strategy of forcing a vote on Medicare for all on the House floor. And in order to do that, she would withhold her vote for Nancy Pelosi as Speaker of the House. She and other progressives did hold their vote in order to get carve-outs from PAYGO, which might sound boring, it's not sexy, but guess what? It's an actual legislative win that clears the path to pass legislation that we want. Again, it's not sexy, but without those PAYGO carve-outs, which are written in such a broad way that they apply to things like Medicare for all, we would not get Medicare for all.
So let me just tell you, PAYGO is nonsense. They break those rules all the time. Everybody knows it was nonsense. It's only when the squad and the people who stuck up to them actually got the PAYGO changed that people started pretending that that was a huge deal. It's not a huge deal. It doesn't advance the cause of Medicare for all. Not that I agree with it, but I'm just telling you, as an outsider looking in who doesn't agree with your goals, that this is nonsense and totally Ana Kasparian carrying water for Ocasio-Cortez and the squad who got nothing.
Putting that aside, I do want to present this video of Jimmy Dore viciously attacking AOC for not going along with his antics.
And this is to keep you from healthcare. That's what this is. This is to keep you from healthcare because she's a gutless wonder who will not do what she promised. And you don't get her to do what you want her to do by being nice to her. You get her to do what she's supposed to do by ripping her to shreds, which is what I'm doing right now, because she has it coming. And it's not just her. They all do. She's the only one engaging on Twitter, which is why she's getting it. What it takes is courage from gutless wonders like you, AOC, you phony, and you're revealing yourself. And I am just writing it down. We are you're doing it, and we're marking it. This is her outing herself as a gaslighting mother because you're broken, because you're corrupted and co-opted. And now we got to lay on you as hard as we can. Everybody sees through you. Everybody sees through you.
Fascinating, because Jimmy Dore simply could not see through the Boogaloo Boys, who he was incredibly complimentary toward, who he believed at face value as being good people that we should work with. When it came to AOC, someone who actually is fighting for the policies that we want, oh, she's just a gutless wonder.
Again, you could just feel the condescension in Ana Kasparian's tone after she copies and pastes a Sam Seder video and presents it as her own as a means to attack Jimmy Dore. And it's all fine and dandy to cut together clips of Jimmy Dore being unhinged, which, by the way, Jimmy Dore is unhinged, cursing all the time, going crazy. But Jimmy Dore was prepared for this, and remember, he copied this style from Jank Uger, who has a number of unhinged rants, including, and this was in Jimmy Dore's video, which Ana Kasparian probably should have watched if she actually did her research, Jank yelling at customer service people at an airport.
So here's Jank Uger going full raging maniac on customer service employees, and he thinks this is when he thinks it's okay to yell.
And I'm hungry and I'm tired, and so, like, you know me, I get more agitated when I'm hungry and tired.
So maybe we just should have, maybe if he would have skipped a meal during this hashtag force the vote, he would have got angry. But it's obvious he's not skipping meals. It's obvious. So this is want to know when he gets angry, when it's okay for him? This is when it's okay.
So look, if you guys think this is bad, wait till, if that plane doesn't actually come from the hangar in 20 minutes.
People have been waiting for healthcare since 1940. People have been waiting for healthcare in this country for 80 years. He can't wait 20 minutes for a plane. If his plane doesn't come in 20 minutes, this is what he does.
Flight coming. Supervisors, the flight coming. Supervisor, you at least got to be honest. Is there a flight? Is there a plane? You got to be honest. Is there a plane? Is there a plane? Where's the plane?
These people are all dealing with people, and Jank is in their face yelling at them and recording it himself. He's recording it himself. How do we get this video? He recorded it and posted it. That's how unhinged that guy is.
You're a supervisor, aren't you? Where's the plane?
Sorry, I'm not gonna answer your question.
No, I know, because I've been here for 4 hours. Don't give me this. Where's the plane? Here, I got a question for you.
Wow.
When did you make the decision that we weren't gonna have a plane? When did you make that decision? Who made the decision? Who made the decision that we weren't? It's funny to you, right? It's not funny to us. Who made the decision? Who made the decision? Who made it? Well, who is it then? That's what I'm asking. Whose fault is it? Whose fault is it? Is there a crew? Is there a crew? Is there a crew?
Yelling, we're not gonna be able to answer your question.
Okay, let me whisper it. Is there a crew? Is there a plane or a crew?
Flight 204, your plane is already on its way from the hangar.
No, but they told us that 4 hours ago. Is it actually coming?
Lie after lie.
Is it actually coming? Because I literally heard it was coming from the hangar 3 hours ago. I literally heard that.
So that's what he was doing.
Anna, you're going to have to pick a lane, because either you're going to attack Jimmy Dore for his unhinged tone with his freakouts and all that nonsense that I am fully free to criticize him for, or you can provide cover for Jank Uger, the guy that Jimmy Dore copied, admittedly, that style from, and all of his unhinged rants and craziness that has appeared not just on air, but in his personal life multiple times with all these public freakouts. But you can't do both, or at least you can, but I'm gonna point it out and point out how unearned your smug look is while you're doing both.
Because in my belief, our theory of change revolves around collectivist action. It revolves around getting workers active.
By the way, Anna says a bunch of times in this video, organize and provide collectivist solutions, as if that means anything. It's just communist jargon talk nonsense, and she repeats it over and over again the same way that she repeats cross state lines, as if that's a point on its own, just to show you how much depth there is to Ana Kasparian's arguments. But I want to go to this other guy that they brought in, because he's going to double down on the idea that Jimmy Dore is a racist. Listen for yourself.
That part about overthrowing the government, right? Let's just be real. The first thing that they want to get rid of the Voting Rights Act, the Civil Rights Act. They want to get rid of any protections, Oberfeld versus Hodges. They want to do away with that. Let's just be real. But there is a real concern for minorities, for Black people. Who do you think are going to be some of the #1 victims of this coalition with the Boogaloo Boys if they actually are successful? Black people, brown people, indigenous people, LGBTQIA.
In case you didn't have a hint on where they were going with this, here's a guy just laying it out there saying that Jimmy Dore's against all of these things, the Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act, or saying that he's supporting people that when you strip all this stuff down are actually against all these things, even though that's not the case. Again, not a defender of Jimmy Dore, not somebody who likes Jimmy Dore, not somebody who has a lot of respect for Jimmy Dore, but he did say this exact thing would happen from people who are disingenuous on the left, like the Young Turks, and that's what's happening. But even better than that, this guy thinks that the real way to have unity is to have unity on what's really important, and he says the best way to test unity is to test what people believe on this one specific issue, and I just want you to hear what his bellwether is on whether or not he can work with you actually is.
I tell you what, if you want to know if they really are about progressive action, ask them where they stand on reparations.
Reparations. That's the issue. That is the deal breaker for this person. Reparations, which are not popular at all in the United States of America, and honestly, we should probably amend the Constitution to make it an impeachable offense to support such a stupid and inane policy. That's the issue that this guy wants to determine whether or not he can work with you on, and he's criticizing Jimmy Dore for trying to find unity based on radical positions. Absolute nonsense, absolute idiocy, absolute disgusting, deceptive video making by Ana Kasparian, deceptive in the way that she presented it, like she did the work herself, because obviously she plagiarized it, and deceptive in the way that she's attacking Jimmy Dore. You want to go at him on the issues, you want to go at him smear for smear, or actually defend yourself from the allegations that you have corporate people on the board at the Young Turks, then do that. But don't do this end-around sneaky attack where you try to call him a racist and try to smear him because he's somehow not progressive enough or actually wants to work with right-wing militias to do something crazy. That's absolute nonsense. Jimmy Dore's crazy, he's really out there, he's further left than the Young Turks, I'll never support him, but I'm not gonna lie about the man.
Yeah. I just want to say also, I love Sean's videos. He's one of my favorite contributors now.
Yeah.
He's always on the lookout for scams. Like, he seems like kind of like a paranoid guy. Like, you're scamming me, oh, watch out. But I like it.
Well, he's a Ron Paul supporter, so.
That's true.
I'm just kidding. I'm just
I love
kidding.
his videos, though.
Yeah, I do too. Good looking guy. What?
Oh, she's never said that.
But hey, those are just my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you like this video, then you can show me by leaving a like. You can subscribe for more content. You can follow me on the social media links that are linked in the description of this video. You can support me with the support links in the same location. This has been me talking about Ana Kasparian going out of her way to ridiculously smear Jimmy Dore because she's a nasty person. Till next time.